The thrilling story begins with a girl named Violet wandering in the Florida forest. She travels along the riverbank and comes across a lady named Rose who is sitting there. The lady calls Violet over and starts showing her strange magic tricks. Violet is greatly impressed by these tricks and begins to talk to her. However, shortly after, many people start gathering around them. Rose informs Violet that these are all her friends who have come to welcome her warmly. Seeing so many unknown people around her, Violet becomes very scared. She tries to run away immediately, but in the next moment, Rose grabs her hand. We then see all the people coming towards Violet, capturing her to kill her. The reality is that these people are vampires. They capture people in this manner and absorb their body's energy to become stronger. Specifically, these vampires target children and individuals who are very innocent and have never done anything wrong. When the vampires capture such people, steam starts to emit from their bodies, and they absorb this steam, or energy, to extend their own lives. This is their best source of energy, which is why Rose, a vampire, and her entire team had captured Violet to perform a ritual and absorb her energy. Gradually, their community grows larger, and the number of vampires exceeds a limit. This means that by killing humans, they are not only becoming more powerful but also immortal, which could be extremely dangerous for everyone. On the other hand, we see a boy named Danny inside a hotel. Danny is riding his bicycle and enjoying himself. However, the shocking part is that Danny can see spirits. He can feel different spirits and see their reflections. When he enters an open room, he sees a very dangerous witch inside a bar top. This is a spirit that is looking at Danny with a very sinister gaze. Danny was so frightened that he ended up soiling himself and fled from there. Danny also had a mother named Wendy, who was very troubled by the hotel because she too had started feeling the presence of spirits. The shocking thing was that Danny had not said much since he arrived at the hotel, as if he was hiding something from his mother. Despite this, they continued to stay at the hotel. Now, Danny was sitting by the sea, deep in thought with many things running through his mind. At that moment, a benevolent spirit named Hello Rain approached him and started talking to Danny. Hello Rain was trying to explain that there was a lot of shine within Danny, meaning he was very innocent and had never done anything wrong in his life. This was why the spirits present in the hotel wanted to attack him and absorb his energy. However, Danny was aware of this shine, which is why he told the good spirit that he kept his shine hidden and had even stopped talking to his mother. Seeing Danny clearly scared by these events, Hello Rain advised him to use a magical box that could trap any spirit inside it through a spiritual performance. Danny could trap all the spirits one by one in the box if he did this. Danny liked this plan, so he took the magical box to the same washroom. He quickly performed the spiritual ritual and trapped the evil spirit from the hotel inside the box. With the spirits gone, Danny was very happy, and his mother was also quite pleased. Years passed, and now we see that Wendy had passed away. Danny had grown up and had become a heavy drinker like his father. His life was very tumultuous. Danny was at a night bar, where he got into a fight with a man while drinking. During this commotion, a girl noticed Danny and was impressed by his actions. After drinking, the lady takes Danny to her room, and they have a lot of fun together. When Danny wakes up in the morning and is about to leave, he checks his wallet and finds that all his money is missing. Danny is very shocked and starts to think that the girl must have stolen his money for her own indulgence. Danny then grabs the lady's purse and starts taking money out of it. However, he notices that the lady has a daughter, whom he picks up and comfortably places inside. At this point, a spirit named Lovin appears before Danny and tells him that he shouldn't steal money. But Danny, not caring about anyone else's advice, takes the money and leaves, thinking only about his own benefit and not caring who he might hurt. Now, we see a girl named Andy inside a theater. Andy looks completely normal, but she also possesses a special shine and has the ability to hypnotize people and make them do whatever she wants. Andy immediately calls over a man in the theater, puts him to sleep, and then takes all his money before leaving. This reveals that, just like Danny, many children with similar abilities and shines are highly favored by vampires. As soon as Andy exits the theater, she encounters Rose, the leader of the vampire group. Rose tells Andy that she should join their group because with Andy's ability to control people, the vampire group could control many more children and humans, absorbing their inner energy to become even stronger. Rose explains how joining them would benefit Andy as well, making her immortal and giving her all the powers she lacks. Although Andy is confused about these promises, Rose takes her with her. Meanwhile, we see a birthday party where the girl's name is Abra. During the celebration, a magician performs various magic tricks. Abra, after watching, says that she also knows a magic trick. Abra, in front of her mom and dad, used her abilities to lift all the spoons and forks from the kitchen and make them float to the ceiling. Her parents were very scared because it was the first time they were seeing such a thing. Abra, like Danny, had a shine and abilities that allowed her to control objects with her mind. As soon as Abra used her ability to perform this feat, Danny and Rose somehow sensed her power because they could sense each other's energy. Now, Rose was searching for Abra to absorb her powers as well. Meanwhile, Rose was talking to Andy, convincing her to join her cult group. Rose explained to Andy how she would become immortal if she joined them. The vampires did this by stealing people's shines, which made them powerful. Rose pointed out that many vampires had been alive for years due to these advantages, and if Andy joined them, she would also gain such benefits. Andy was deeply contemplating this and eventually decided to join Rose's group. To make Andy a member of their group, a ritual was performed where Rose extracted the shine collected from Violet into a bottle. This shine was very powerful, and Rose began transferring it into Andy's body, making her much stronger and causing her to forget all her past memories. From now on, Andy was part of the vampire cult group and would use her abilities for their benefit. Now, Danny is shown starting a new life in a different city. While exploring the city, Danny meets a man named Billy. Billy was a very kind person who understood Danny's situation and offered him a job. He even gave Danny a room to stay in. So, despite moving to an unfamiliar city, Danny didn't face any problems. While Danny was sleeping, the same spirit whose money he had stolen appeared right in front of him. Danny was very scared and moved to a corner. The spirit then revealed that she had died from a drug overdose that day. Her child also had no option and died hungry. Their dead bodies were still lying in that house. After learning all this, Danny was very angry and decided to drink again, even though he had recently resolved to quit drinking. His old habit was still hard to break. Danny ran straight to Billy and shared all his problems. Billy had become a good friend over time, so he sent Danny to a rehab center where he could overcome his drinking habit. After talking to the owner of the center, Danny found a job there. His job was to take care of elderly people who were very close to death. Danny found this job somewhat satisfying, so he accepted it. He went to an old man who was in a lot of pain and very close to death but was very scared. Danny used his ability to show the old man beautiful memories from his life with the power of his shine. After a while, the old man passed away peacefully. Danny left his shine in the sky so that the old man could be completely free. When Danny used his power, Abra sensed it. She realized that there were others like her with shine and abilities. Abra was writing "hello" on the wall with her powers to let Danny know of her presence. Danny was shocked to see this and sat there thinking. 10 years passed in this way. Danny had completely given up his drinking habit and started working in the same hospital as a doctor. He helped elderly people who were close to death, showing them beautiful dreams and ensuring a peaceful passing. People began calling him Dr. Sleep due to his performance. Abra also grew up significantly. Abra and Danny were always in telepathic communication, but the surprising thing was that they had never met face to face. All their interactions were happening telepathically. Meanwhile, we see Rose and her vampire cult group who were very hungry because recently, it had become rare to find people with shine. With fewer sources of shine, the number of their members was also decreasing. Rose distributed the remaining shine she had among the vampires, filling their hunger for a while. However, they needed to find more people with shine to ensure their survival. One of the members of their group, named Crow, went to a baseball ground where he spotted a boy with shine. After the match ended, Crow immediately captured the boy and brought him to their group. The vampires performed a ritual to absorb the shine from the boy's body, which satisfied their hunger and would sustain them for a longer time. Abra sensed what was happening with the vampires and realized that they had recently murdered someone and absorbed their energy. Danny also sensed this, so Abra repeatedly informed him. Abra even wrote "murder" on the board to signify the situation. Rose had been keeping an eye on Abra for a while because Abra had a substantial amount of shine. Rose initially buried the girl who had been murdered and then informed Crow about Abra. She mentioned that Abra had so much shine that if they absorbed it, they wouldn't need to find food for the next 10 years. Thus, Abra became the main target for the vampires. The next day, Abra extracted information about the boy who had been killed by the vampires from her computer. Using her mental abilities, she began to observe the vampire group and recalled the night of the murder and the members involved. Abra even traveled mentally to reach Rose's mind, where Rose became aware of Abra's actions. Since she had similar abilities, Rose also tried her best to gain control over AB. She kept watching AB in front of a mirror, and for a moment, it seemed like AB might actually fall under Rose's control. However, AB had so many powers that she forcefully pushed Rose away. Rose sustained considerable virtual injury and fell back, so she went to her companion, Crow, and explained everything. She told him that AB was much more powerful than they had anticipated. Despite all her efforts, Rose couldn't control AB, which was supposed to be impossible. Now, no matter what, they had to find AB. Meanwhile, Abra had skipped school and arrived in a different city, trying to find Danny. Even though she had never seen him, her telepathic communication allowed her to locate him quickly. Danny was also talking to Abra. He explained that what she was considering as magic was actually the shine within them. He had a lot of shine but had stopped using it. Abra explained to Danny that they needed to retrieve the body of the murdered girl to find her killers. She told Danny about the vampire group and Rose, and wanted him to help with the mission. However, Danny refused, as he didn't want to get involved. He advised Abra to stop using her shine, as the vampire group would never leave her alone and she could be in danger. Danny then left. When Danny returned to his room, the spirit of Loren appeared before him. Loren urged Danny to help Abra, as he felt that the vampire group was about to attack her, and if anything happened to her, it would be Danny's fault. Loren told Danny that this would be the last time they met, and then disappeared. Danny was deeply troubled by the thought that he would never meet his guide again. After multiple reflections, he decided that he would save Abra's life. On the other side, Rose used her abilities to exit her own body, essentially becoming a spirit. She roamed the earth searching for Abra and soon arrived at her house. Rose attempted to penetrate Abra's mind and began exploring her memories one by one. However, Rose's hand suddenly got stuck, causing her a lot of pain. These occurrences were not random but were being controlled by Abra, who was aware of Rose's attempt to invade her mind. Abra began to control Rose and accessed a lot of information from her mind. Rose tried desperately to free her hand and return to her real body. Rose immediately went to Crow and informed him that Abra was even more powerful than she had anticipated. While Rose tried to delve into Abra's mind, Abra had intruded into hers and taken control. Crow then told Rose that their oldest member was dying because they had no shine left. The vampire group was forced into a desperate situation for survival. The oldest vampire turned to dust, and the hungry vampires even consumed his shine to fill their hunger. Andy was also part of their team, witnessing these events. Abra then came to Danny and explained how she had tried to enter Rose's mind and how Danny confirmed that he would indeed help her. Danny, along with Billy, Abra, and a few of his companions, set out on a journey where everything had begun. On the way, Abra informed Danny that she had discovered a new technique to enter minds and used this technique to enter Danny's mind as well. Inside Danny's mind, she saw many boxes and a typewriter in the middle, wondering what all of this could mean. Abra didn't know this, but by then, Danny had arrived at the place where the boy, Lee's, dead body was buried. Although Billy didn't fully understand what was happening, he trusted Danny and continued digging at the spot indicated by Abra. After digging quite deeply, they finally found Lee's body and took it out with them. Danny and Billy then went to Abra's house to inform her parents about everything. However, Abra's father did not believe them. So, Abra used her abilities to show them visions of how the boy was murdered. After seeing these visions, Abra's father understood that if they didn't act, his daughter's life could be in danger, so he agreed to Danny's plan. Danny explained that the group of vampires had been alive for many years, so they needed a different strategy to defeat them. Abra used her shine powers to locate their position and informed everyone that the vampire group was heading towards them to capture her. They had tracked her shine. Danny then devised a good plan. He first took Abra to a forested area where he started preparing for the plan. Soon, the entire vampire group, including Endy, arrived at the location. As they advanced, they saw what they thought was Abra sitting there. Endy used her mental abilities to hypnotize the figure and administered a sedative, but it turned out to be not Abra but a teddy bear. Abra had used her mind to deceive them. Suddenly, Danny and Billy started firing from the other side of the forest. Many members of the vampire group were killed due to the sudden attack. The firing continued from both sides, weakening the vampire group. Rose, who was protecting everyone with her mental powers, also experienced significant pain. After defeating everyone, Danny and Billy reached the bus, but their ammunition had run out. Endy immediately steps out and uses her mind to make Danny fall asleep, which he does instantly. However, Abra uses her shine power to wake Danny up. At this moment, Endy has taken a gun and is about to kill Danny, but suddenly a bullet hits her in the neck. The bullet was fired by Billy, who wanted to save his friend. When Endy was hit by the bullet, her whole body began to burn and she became very weak. Before dying, she commanded Billy to take his own life as well. Billy then directly places the gun on himself and pulls the trigger, resulting in a tragic death for him, which Danny couldn't prevent. Danny thought that all the members of the vampire group were dead, but then Abra suddenly informs him that a member named Crow is still alive. Crow had managed to deceive everyone and reach Abra's house. He immediately injected Abra with a sedative, rendering her unconscious. Although Abra's father tried to save her, Crow killed him and kidnapped Abra. By the time Danny reached the house, Abra had already been kidnapped, and he couldn't figure out how to find her. After a while, Abra regains consciousness in a car, where Crow is transporting her. She is securely fastened with seatbelts and has been given multiple doses of sedative to keep her unconscious. Danny, stressed out, goes for a drink but then controls himself. He uses his shine technique, which he hadn't used in years, to locate Abra. He finds her location and takes control of Abra's mind, as well as Crow's. Danny deliberately causes an accident with Crow's car, resulting in the car being completely wrecked. Since Crow wasn't wearing a seatbelt, he dies brutally. Danny manages to reach Abra, rescue her, and take her away. Meanwhile, Rose, upon learning about all these events, becomes very angry. She began absorbing all the remaining shine to become more powerful and started chasing Abra to kill her. Danny, who was inside the car with Abra, knew that Rose would definitely come after them, and they couldn't fight her alone. Therefore, they needed to go to a place where all their power levels would be equal, namely the Overlook Hotel where Danny had lived before. This hotel housed many cursed spirits, and Danny wanted to make a plan with them. Danny somehow reached the Overlook Hotel and told Abra to wait there. Danny went inside and looked around, bringing back all his childhood memories as he had spent a lot of time there. Suddenly, a bartender approached Danny, who was none other than Danny's father, Jack, whose spirit was still trapped there. Jack offered Danny a drink, but Danny, now fully composed, rejected it, avoiding getting entangled with the spirits. Soon enough, Rose arrived at the hotel. Danny and Abra went inside and immediately began using their mental powers to attack Rose. Danny first used his shine power to trap Abra in an illusion from which escape was impossible. However, Rose was different from the other vampires. Suddenly, Abra appeared in the vision and began attacking Rose, hitting her from multiple places. But Rose quickly managed to grab Abra. This whole plan was Danny's. He was bringing a magical box to imprison Rose forever. But Rose wasn't going to be trapped so easily. She immediately used all her power and nullified Danny's illusion. Danny was shocked that this was happening to him. He had hidden Abra in a safe place, and now Rose stood right in front of him. Rose suggested that Danny join her cult group, but Danny, knowing her deceit well, attacked Rose with an axe. But Rose, escaping from the attack, began to kill Danny with the same axe and was absorbing all his shine. Amidst all this, Rose entered Danny's mind. Suddenly, Danny unlocked all the boxes where he had hidden different spirits. As a result, all the spirits were freed. They had been starving for years, so they first captured Rose and began absorbing her shine immediately. Rose had no time to think, and soon, her life was completely drained. However, the spirits also came to Danny to kill him, but since Danny had freed them, they didn't kill him. Instead, they began to control him. Danny, who was a normal human, went completely out of control and started moving towards Abra to kill her, as he was now corrupted by the multitude of spirits within him. The fact was that many years ago, Danny had trapped these spirits inside the boxes in this hotel. But now, these spirits were fully controlling Danny. As Danny went to kill Abra, she used her shine power to calm his mind. Although Danny temporarily became calm, he warned Abra to leave the place immediately because he intended to burn down the entire hotel. He wanted to ensure that all the spirits were destroyed with him because if they got out, they would continue to absorb shine and control many people. After safely getting Abra to a secure location, Danny went into a steam room and activated all the gases in the area. Soon, a large fire broke out. Although Danny could have escaped, he chose to stay and sacrifice himself as the spirits were still within him. In this critical moment, Danny even saw his mother, who told him that he had done a great job. After that, Danny happily sacrificed his life. Abra watched from outside the hotel as it burned completely, with Danny having perished inside. A few days later, when Abra was at home, Danny's spirit appeared in front of her. Just like how the spirit of Hello Rain used to guide Danny, now Danny came to guide Abra after his death. This brought Abra immense joy, and she shared the news with her mother, saying that their father was also happy as a spirit after death. She mentioned that there is an afterlife and that Danny would continue to guide Abra from time to time. Thus, our adventurous story comes to an end.